Why am I telling you what strength and conditioning is now? Because most people don't have a clue. Strength and conditioning has gotten a lot popular right now with things like this and this and this. There's currently so much complication into what strength and conditioning is, which is probably placed well if you are training elite athletes where complication is actually required. But for most people, it doesn't apply. For most athletes, it doesn't apply. Welcome to Strong-Ath-Func. My name is Ashutosh. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I've been working for 7 to 8 years. And let me tell you what strength and conditioning is and what it isn't. Now, the term comes from two words. One is strength, which is the ability to produce force against an external resistance, and the other is conditioning, which means getting accustomed to the environment or the sport or the task that you've been presented. The most simple description of what strength and conditioning is that you get stronger and then expose yourself to the conditions of your sport or task that you want to get better at. So if you want to get better at football, you train for strength and simultaneously practice football, and you'll be better at football. Same for marathon, train for strength, practice long distance running, you'll be better at marathon running. Take any sport for that matter, you just train for strength and practice the skills of the sport, you'll be better at it. Yes, please go in the comments and let me know how dumb I am for saying that. But if you can give me a chance, watch the entire video. Now, the first question that usually comes to people's minds when I say that you get stronger and you practice your sport and you're better at sport, and they ask me, how will just strength training get me better at my sport? It won't, because you have to practice the sport. And that's why I said you do strength training and then you practice your sport simultaneously so that you get better at it. So is conditioning just playing your sport? Maybe, yeah, it is. For at least beginners, yes. The second question you might be thinking, or what people usually ask me, is what about power? What about muscular endurance? What about hypertrophy? What about agility? What about speed, acceleration? Yeah, all of that is probably covered in strength training to some extent, obviously. And a lot of these are like derivatives of strength, of how much force you can produce. For example, power is a derivative of strength. Strength is slow force production, power is quick force production. As much force as you can produce in as little time as possible. If you are not able to produce a lot of force maximally, how will you maximally produce power? How will you produce that same force quickly? Same with speed and acceleration. These are basically multiple submaximal power production events. For example, in a sprint, right? Each step is a power production event, which is submaximal to the maximum amount of power you can produce, right? So if your maximal improves, if your maximal power or if your maximal strength improves, your submaximal efforts will get easier. And that's why you need to work on strength and then work on the derivatives of strength, which gets easier when you are a little bit stronger. The one thing that strength training directly does not improve is probably cardiovascular endurance, right? Which needs to be separately developed. So you develop strength and then you work on your cardiovascular endurance, your skill and your sport, which becomes your strength and conditioning. The next question that comes to me is, okay, I've worked on strength, I've played my sport. Now, when will I improve my maximal power? How will I do that while playing sport and also training for strength? So the time that you start training specifically for power, specifically for plyometrics, specifically for speed, acceleration, agility, is when you have actually built some strength and practiced the game long enough, and you now see a plateau and only strength training will not help it, right? So once you have enough strength for that sport and now you have practiced all the skills of the sport all combined, now there is no scope for improvement. So that time is when you start focusing on the specific skills like developing power, where you do some maximal power exercises and some sub-maximal power exercises, which are plyometrics, so that you get your technique right and you get better at performing those particular skills, right? Same with agility, speed, acceleration, all of this. So these things should come later on, where the athlete or person has actually practiced the sport enough while gaining strength, and then they see a plateau. So somewhat of an intermediate lifter, but now well versed with the skills of the particular sport they are playing. I know this sounds very simple, and I know complexity is sexy and all, but I'm going to be talking a lot more about training, and I'm going to be telling you how to make things simple and effective. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.